It's been well established on this show that the 50s loved movies about giant radioactive bugs and animals. Whether it's spiders, scorpions, praying mantises, Gila monsters, seemingly no creature was considered too weird to get its own monster movie. And today I'm going to spotlight a movie that features one of the most terrifying creatures in the animal kingdom, mollusks. Yeah, you know, snails, slugs, stuff like that. Hey, I already did a movie about the regular-sized version. Who knows, maybe a movie about giant ones will actually be scary. The Monster That Challenged the World is a 1957 monster movie that usually doesn't get a whole lot of attention. It's not considered a classic the way movies like Them or the first Godzilla film are, but it also doesn't have a reputation for being infamously bad like the giant claw or robot monster, and as a result, even fans of 50s monster flicks tend to overlook this one. Or who knows, maybe when people hear it's about giant killer snails, they decide not to give it a chance. I'm not really sure why. I've even done movies about killer mushrooms on this show. I don't know if radiation's responsible for the monster, but a nuclear explosion does seem to create the movie's title. Well, it's the beginning of a 50s monster flick, so cue the stock footage and narration.
This is the Salton Sea in Southern California. In the desert close to the shore of the sea, the government has established one of its most important naval research bases. At the laboratory on the secluded south tip of the base, top-secret atomic experiments are carried out under rigid security controls.
God damn it, haven't you guys ever seen a 50s monster flick before? That's not gonna end well. I also don't know if it's a great idea to have guys parachute into an area where atomic experiments are being conducted. Hopefully none of these guys want kids. Anyway, an earthquake occurs near the sea, and it's even strong enough to shake the camera. Oh well, that's no reason to stop parachuting. The Army's got extreme sports videos to make.
We have him in sight. You're cleared to return to the base. Over.
Roger, leaving for home. Over and out.
I don't know about this movie. The monster effects seem a little unconvincing. Okay, actually some guys are sent to pick up the parachutist, but they can't find him anywhere. Let's see, a couple of mooks at the beginning of a monster movie? I'm sure they'll be fine.
Johnson!
And that was the take they decided to use of that scream.
Land Radio 4 calling Flutterboy 242. Come in.
Ooh, I see this guy has a 1950s centerfold in his office. Well, looks like he's not able to contact the recovery crew. Better call the base commander. 50s Ghostbusters, what do you want? Our main character is Base Commander John Twillinger, whose main characteristic is... he's kind of a hard ass, I guess?
I don't decide these things. I'm an investigating officer, not a judge.
When you talked to them last, was everything normal?
Oh, yes, sir. We was just kidding. You know how you get talking on the phones.
That's against regulations, sailor.
I was sorry to hear about the accident.
Young lady, you're not to discuss that with anyone. Do you understand?
Man, he is not going to be happy when he sees this guy's poster. That practically counted as pornography back then. Anyway, time to find out what happened to the recovery crew. Ew! What the hell did the monster do to these guys? And why are you touching it? Well, open and shut case. Looks like these guys were murdered by Peter North. Also, it looks like the parachutist got turned into Frank from Hellraiser. Well, this is weird. Usually whenever they find bodies in the Salton Sea, it's because a politician needed to get rid of a hooker. They better go to the research lab and find out what's going on.
Oh, you might know I'd be making 8 carbons.
Hmm?
I said I'm always making 8 carbons and my fingers go to... Oh, hello.
You can really tell that this secretary's going to be a main character because she's hotter than the other one. Twillinger takes the sample he found to be examined by Captain Hook. No, seriously, that's Hans Conried, and he really was the voice of Captain Hook. His character's name is Dr. Rogers, but from now on I'm just gonna call him Dr. Hook. And as you may imagine, the commander immediately suspects this has something to do with that gosh darn radiation.
Would you say that the water in the sea could be radioactive?
Commander, I've found that people are always jumping to wild conclusions concerning atomic reaction. Science fact and science fiction are not the same.
Spoiler alert, the radiation experiments are what's responsible for the monsters. But enough of that, time to learn more about our characters. Like the fact that Gail is a single mom, which, to be honest, is something you really didn't see a whole lot of in 50s movies. Of course, the other characters have problems too.
What a life. That husband of mine even has top secret stamped in red ink right in the middle of his chest.
Wow, he must have really been shit-faced when he asked for that tattoo.
You can't speed up science, Commander.
No, I guess not.
So in case you couldn't tell, the movie's setting up Gale and Twillinger to be love interests, because as we all know, attractive young women can't resist schlubby-looking guys twice their age.
He's cute.
Yeah, I guess, in that sitcom bus driver kind of way. But hey, maybe I just don't understand what women liked back then.
That's okay. Just consider me a piece of furniture.
Oh, sweetie, it's the 50s. I always just consider you an object. I can see why Gale's interested in the commander. Sure, he may have a bit of a gut, but he makes up for it by not having an ass. Alright, time to find out what killed those guys from the sea.
I've been with this office for 15 years, but I've never seen anything like this. Both bodies taken from the sea were completely drained of blood and water.
What would make that happen?
Well, my theory is that it was a very hungover vampire. So it looks like whatever killed these guys turned him into human beef jerky, but on the plus side, this means the troops are gonna be eating good in the mess hall tonight. And come on, guys, you can't close the beaches. Don't you know Amity is a summer town / radioactive test site? They also find out the stuff they found on the boat is radioactive. Okay, at least now we know the monster's probably shooting blanks. And while we're on the subject, looks like this girl's got a date with a 50s bike gang movie.
Who are you going out with?
Morty.
Morty. Oh, sure, I might have known.
Ma, look at me. I'm a big girl now, grown up.
Hell yeah, she's grown up. She's 25. And even though the signs on the beaches say no swimming, they didn't say anything about not making out.
Hey, pretty girl, where's your suit?
Underneath, silly.
Hoo-hoo, looks like she's wearing a 1950s thong. And even though I already made a Jaws reference, I have a feeling this girl's gonna end up like the beginning of that movie. Minus the PG nudity, of course. Ah, come on, that's not how you scream on camera. It's supposed to go like this.
I'll tell you what happened. That boy ran off somewhere with Jody. I warned her. I said, why don't you go out with a nice young man?
I'll bet I know exactly what happened to her. She showed that boy her ankles and then immediately died of a venereal disease. Oh well, at least before he died, the guy managed to seal the deal. And oh boy, did he. Okay, actually that's just more goo from the monster. They decide to check the Salton Sea for clues, and we paid good money for this underwater camera, so better put it to good use.
I think we're at the bottom of some kind of huge cavern. We see some kind of peculiar object ahead.
Wait, what the hell? You mean the monster is really Rover from The Prisoner? Alright, that's actually just one of its eggs, but we are around half an hour in, which by 50s monster movie rules means we should be seeing it pretty soon. See, there's our monster, and it quickly turns one of the divers into a microwaved Ken doll. Rather than using the standard man-in-a-suit approach of most 50s monster flicks, this movie uses a full-sized animatronic monster, and to be honest, it's actually pretty impressive for the time. I mean, sure, it doesn't hold a candle to the kind of stuff Ray Harryhausen was doing, but it looks a hell of a lot better than most other 50s monsters, and it's a lot more intimidating than the toothed slugs from Slugs.
Yeah, get ya!
No, don't wreck the monster. It's the most memorable thing about this movie. Listen, even though he lost one of the divers, best not to tell his wife that he's dead. Just say he moved 2 towns over and decided to start another family. But forget the woman whose husband just got killed. How's Gale doing?
What's wrong?
It's just that I should be in there with Connie telling her about how you get over it. When Tom was killed, they said all those things to me.
Tom.
My husband.
Oh, it's good that you told me you had a husband. For a second there, I thought you might have had a kid out of wedlock, which means I'd have to have you arrested for being a whore. Okay, I joke, but having Gale be a single mother with a deceased husband is a lot more character development than the love interest in a 50s monster flick would usually get. God damn it, movie. First you have an above-average monster, and now you have an above-average female lead? How dare you? Don't you know you're making my job a lot harder? One thing's for sure, Gale definitely comes off better than the commander.
And I had Sandy. I couldn't fall apart.
I guess not.
You know something? You're easy to talk to. and I didn't think you would be.
Well, that's because he doesn't have much of a personality. Okay, time to find these monster snails and take care of them.
Now, we may have killed this giant creature, but our most important job is to find all its eggs. And once they're located, Dr. Johns will make a quick survey of them, and then they must be totally destroyed.
Hey, shouldn't we try to capture at least one of these things alive? I mean, I know they're dangerous, but this is still a pretty amazing scientific discovery. Wait, what am I saying? They've already got one of the eggs captured.
We're keeping it alive by controlled water temperature.
Is there any danger that the egg might hatch?
Oh, no, the temperature is just low enough to keep it from hatching.
And as long as everyone sees my don't touch the thermostat post-it note, we should be just fine. Oh, and it wouldn't be a 50s sci-fi movie without a several-minute scene using nature footage to explain the monster.
Well, this is Gonaxus kibuiziensis. You'll note the remarkable similarities between it and the giant creature in the Salton Sea. It shreds the flesh of its victim with scissor-like teeth.
Yeah, that's great and all, but watching snail porn isn't really helping us defeat these things. Well, it's been settled. In order to get rid of these things, we're gonna need a shitload of table salt. So Dr. Hook theorizes that the monsters are prehistoric and were awakened when an earthquake allowed radioactive seawater to seep into their lair and hatch their eggs. But forget about that. How's Twillinger and Gale's budding romance going?
I feel kind of embarrassed today, Commander.
Why?
Well, the things I said yesterday, personal things, I hope I didn't embarrass you.
You didn't.
Yeah, I sure hope I didn't make you feel bad by talking about my dead husband. Believe it or not, Gale's actually the one who asked Twillinger on a date.
I know it's way past dinner time, but if you haven't already eaten,
Yeah, I'm starving.
I was planning on eating again anyway. The date seems to go pretty well. That is until Twillinger pretends he forgot his wallet and sticks her with the bill.
Did you make a wish?
She wished she was on a date with Rock Hudson. Boy, is she in for a disappointment if that actually happened. Look, as riveting as the mystery of why Gale's even interested in this stiff is, how's the mystery of finding the monsters going?
This is just like that Federal Bank stakeout last year.
Yeah.
The only trouble is nothing ever happens.
Well, I'm sure these two are gonna be fine. Surprisingly, these two actually are fine. They just find this random drunk guy who got lost on his way home and decided to take a whiz in the Salton Sea. Oh, and apparently he tried to shampoo his chest hair, I guess. Turns out there's several canals connected to the Salton Sea, and they think the monsters could have escaped through them. So in order to find them, they're gonna need extensive knowledge of all the waterways in California, which means they need to check every knick-knack shop in the state.
Have you ever heard of an underground river or an ancient waterway that runs through the valley that would empty into a deep pool?
I can't think of a thing. But every once in a while, somebody dies and leaves us a whole lot of documents for our room.
Okay, I don't know if this guy's gonna be any help finding the monsters, but I'm pretty sure he's got some bodies hidden somewhere in California. So, are they gonna find more of the monsters pretty soon? We're almost an hour in, and so far we haven't seen it since that part where it first showed up.
Hey, boys! Boys, get away from there! We don't allow no swimming around here, you ought to know that.
Okay, I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer. At least some characters in this movie seem to realize we haven't seen the monster in a while.
Oh, poor Grace, you're cold. Maybe I can figure something out.
You know, normally I'd be mad at this girl, but hopefully this means we'll see the monster again soon. Sure hope they're able to spot some of the other monsters, especially considering it's so late at afternoon. Huh. Wasn't a bad jump scare for a 50s movie, actually.
My God. I'll call in. This is Car 14 calling control operations. Over. Tell Josh we found the gatekeeper. Dead.
Now he looks like the Crypt Keeper. Speaking of which, looks like this guy's back.
I was looking for this petition. We're campaigning again for Proposition 14A, you know, the one that was defeated.
He shows a map of all the canals connected to the Salton Sea, and I'm guessing he knows about them since that's where he hides his victims. Hopefully this means they'll find out where the monsters are. Oh shit, it's S-Car Godzilla! Alright, we found out where the monster's new lair is, now we just need to plant some charges and destroy him. And then, we can cook him up with some garlic butter and eat him. That is, of course, if the snails don't eat them first.
You fellas all right?
Congratulations, fellas, you destroyed the monsters. Unfortunately, you surfaced so fast you just gave yourself the bends. Okay, looks like they got all the monsters. But wait a second, didn't they have another one waiting in the lab at the base?
Grace? Gracie?
Damn, this monster snail's stealthier than the T-Rex at the end of Jurassic Park. Hey, where you going? I just want to dissolve your insides and then slurp them up. Well, look on the bright side, Gale. If this thing were a giant termite, you'd be dead already. This finale really helps to make up for the slowness of the middle section, since we finally get some monster action that really shows off the full-size animatronic they made for the movie. Although I'm still kind of wondering why they chose to give this monster less screen time than the one in the giant claw. Quick, Twillinger, save him! Dude, there's an axe right behind you. Just use that. Or just use a fire extinguisher, I guess. CO2, a prehistoric snail's one weakness. And if that doesn't work, just use some steam and cook the sucker to death. And, you know, shooting it works too. And so, with the monster defeated, Gale and the commander decided to become a family. And they all lived happily ever after. That is until Gale learned Twillinger was actually a raging alcoholic with a swift hand. So that's The Monster That Challenged the World, and for a movie that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, even from monster fans, it's actually pretty good. Don't get me wrong, this isn't some lost classic or anything. The acting and plot are about what you'd expect from a movie like this, and it does also hit a lot of the familiar cliches found in 50s monster flicks. But what really helps it stand out is the monster, which is one of the better ones of the 1950s in both design and effects quality. One downside is that after it first appears, we don't see very much of it for a good chunk of the movie, but the ending in the lab helps make up for this. This isn't as good as the best 50s monster movies like Them, but it is above average. So if you're a fan of old school monster flicks who might have overlooked this one, give it a watch. And I'll give the movie this, whatever you may think about giant radioactive snails, they're still way more intimidating than the turd ants from Things. Well, that's all for now. Until next time.
Got tuna fish and minced ham on rye.
No thanks.
It's nice and cold.